Greetings from Tokyo, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And so today I'd like to continue on with my favorites from the year. I am so honored to be able to share with you some of my thoughts about this particular year from Criterion. And so thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity. Truly, thank you very much for this, my dear friends. And so in that spirit, I'd like to continue on. This time, I'd like to talk about favorite collector's sets from Criterion from this year, 2021. One of the great strengths of Criterion's physical media offerings, as we know, is when it releases these big collector's sets. So sets that have, say, a multitude of offerings, more than one film offering, and oftentimes with some kind of packaging detail or the like. And so today I'd like to focus in on these collector's sets. And so oftentimes, what does it mean to be a collector's set? What is the definition of a collector's set? I think that it could be something of a packaging, some kind of different dimension of packaging from the usual individual release dimension sizes that is meant to suggest a different design aesthetic, as well as capturing, of course, the physical needs of housing more than one disc, which is needed in order to create enough space for data, which is the means by which, of course, the films are being stored, right, in this form of data, which is captured in discs. And if we have collector's sets, that means we need more than one disc because we're dealing with more than one film. So that's the concept, I understand. Also, I should point out that sometimes Criterion on its website will consider a particular release as a collector's set. And so if that is the case as well, I have counted that particular release. And so there's one release that I will talk about in my top 5 favorites here that might not on the surface seem to be a collector's set per se, but in fact it's treated by Criterion on its website, as of now anyway, as a collector's set. So that's how I would like to go going forward. So without further ado, my friends, let us now focus on my favorite collector's sets from Criterion from this year, 2021. Number 5, and this is a set that doesn't look on the surface to be a collector set per se, but it is, officially speaking, at least according to the Criterion website, a collector set. And this is at SPY numbers 1079 and 1080. And it is this, which is right here. Streetwise and Tiny, The Life of Aaron Blackwell. And so I was so emotionally overwhelmed by this particular set overall, because of course of the component individual works themselves, Streetwise and then Tiny, The Life of Aaron Blackwell. But also there were a number of other works, other short works that were very much integral to the life and times of this particular community, and taking particular care and emphasis on this individual and her life, Tiny, or Aaron Blackwell. And so this is, I think, a really just an awe-inspiring, overwhelming work. And the set really shows not just the overall legacy of the filmmaking here, but the celebration and focus as a type of almost biographical cinematic treatment of various people, including this particular individual who, in essence, we see growing up before our very eyes. And so there is something of the trajectory and balance of life that is being captured within this particular collector's set release. And so that way it's an incredibly emotionally overwhelming experience. And so I'm very happy, very happy that Criterion released this. This is therefore a set in that way. And it's a set that includes these two films, Streetwise and Tiny, The Life of Aaron Blackwell. Number four, my fourth favorite collector set release from Criterion from this year, 2021, and it has to go to this one. This is Spy Number 1103, Once Upon a Time in China, The Complete Films. I adore this particular set. I think it is magnificent. It does have certain elements that can be criticized, and I have spoken about some of those points of criticism in the various videos that I've spoken about. But notwithstanding such points of criticism, this set is so essential in terms of the way in which it treats and handles the cycle of films overall. And the conceit or hypothesis that I think is being proposed by this set in terms of its very existence, its very nature, is to handle or to view the series as not just a trilogy, but in fact a cycle of 5 or indeed 6 films. And so that means the inclusion of 4, 5, and then the 6th film, Once Upon a Time in China and America. So in particular, the inclusion of 4 and 5, I think, are so they're so wonderful, that inclusion. And then you can then therefore watch the films and then evaluate for yourself which films you like and prefer. Maybe you prefer the other films, not 4 and 5. That could be the case. Or maybe you will be surprised by what's in store in terms of 4 and 5 are concerned. But in any event, what I really admire about this set and why it's here is because of the way, or many reasons, but one of such reasons being how it really handles this series as a series overall. I really admire that very much. So this is my number 4 favorite collector set release from Criterion this year. Once Upon a Time in China, The Complete Films. Number 3, my number 3 favorite collector set from Criterion from 2021 is this one. This is this is I'm struggling to mention a few words here. I think it's because this set, Melvin Van Peebles' Essential Films, I think was it came, of course, at a very almost maybe bittersweet moment in terms of its release and the celebration of this artist and the life and legacy of Melvin Van Peebles on the one hand, and also his untimely passing on the other. And so at the same time, therefore, this set, I think, took on this sense of significance, in particular upon its initial release, and that was because we saw, or I saw on the set, this great celebration of this one-of-a-kind Renaissance artist extraordinaire, Melvin Van Peebles, and his personality is just all over this. You can see it in every corner. You can see it, of course, in the films themselves, and you can see the intelligence and the intensity and the depth of intelligence, and just the honesty and the a type of a creative force that is undeniable. It's all here. It's all here. It's all here in the films. It's all here in the presentations. It's all here in the man. And also we see people speaking about him and also expressing their feelings of admiration towards the life and times and legacy of Melvin Van Peebles, including Mario Van Peebles. And one of the great inclusions here is, of course, the Mario Van Peebles work, Badass. So I'm so thrilled that that was also included to make this incredibly packed release even more packed, which makes it, I think, one of the standout collector sets from this year. Definitely a standout collector set release from Criterion. Oh, this is great. This is the set from Criterion, Melvin Van Peebles' Essential Films. Number 2, favorite collector set release from Criterion from this year has to go to this one. It's from earlier in the year, and it came with a lot of discussion and a lot of, say, controversy over certain aspects. And so there's some points of criticism that even to this day I still have. But despite those points of criticism, I remain utterly enthralled and mesmerized and hooked by this particular set, including the the wonderful, or maybe not so wonderful. Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't like it. The way that you have to open the package, and I'm talking about this set, which is World of Wong Kar-wai, or World of Wong Kar-wai, and it had the restoration versions of the films. And so part of the discussion points at the time was, for example, in particular, the version of the film Fallen Angels that can be found within this particular set. Now, just as a note, I really must say that I've fallen in love with this particular restoration version of Fallen Angels. So I think it holds a lot of power and mystery, and it makes me see the film in a different way. So I actually really like this new version. I can't quite say the same for the new version, the restoration version of Chungking Express that's included here. I still can't get over the change of key of the music that's used, which is such an important part of the film Chungking Express and my personal engagement with that over the years. But so while I like some versions, I don't really like other versions. And so that's part of the role of criticism that I have, or the feeling of criticism that I have with the set. But if I still have it at my number 2 spot. And the reason is that it's undeniably an essential, fundamentally important part along the way of one's Wong Kar-wai cinema journey. This is so essential. And you have the films that are, you don't have all the films, but you have most of the films that are, in one way or another, very much, in their own ways, very much linked to the life and times of Wong Kar-wai. And in particular, one can see this set. And the fact that it doesn't include all the films, I think, can be maybe rationalized, and indeed very strongly so, by the fact that one can look at the set, therefore, and see the films that are included in the set have, in one way or another, something to do with that very delicate and complex relationship between China and Hong Kong. And when I realize this, I can see, therefore, the inclusion of the films in this set is quite clever, and it makes me, therefore, see the trajectory of Wong Kar-wai in this historical and social context, as well as the context of Hong Kong cinema, as well as the context of Wong Kar-wai cinema. Because as we know, Wong Kar-wai cinema is so hypnotic, engaging, enveloping, and thoroughly fascinating to the nth degree every single time. True, there are certain aspects of the set that still I remain very critical of, but I cannot deny the power of this, and I cannot deny how affected I was when I saw each of the films in its own way, all the way up to the very end, including some other surprises and shorts, etc. But overall, this was an amazing journey, and it still remains an amazing journey for me in the world of Wong Kar-wai, and where he is as an artist, and how he views his works now at this particular stage, 2020, 2021, how he views his past works. And that is a fair thing to have. Now, that's also to say that this might not be necessarily a one-stop shop when it comes to the world of Wong Kar-wai. And maybe this means that, or this could encourage people to try to find the other restored versions, the prior versions of the works. If that's the case, then I encourage you to do so. And if that's the case too, I think that's a really strong point of the set too, one could say, because this is a way in which one can become energized, and one can use this as a type of jumping off point into further explorations and examinations of the works of Wong Kar-wai, as well as being itself an important, essential stop along the way of that journey. So for those and other reasons, I think this set is one of the best, and critical points aside, all included, all encompassed, it still remains one of the best for me. So my number 2 favorite set is World of Wong Kar-wai. So that means that my number 1 favorite collector set from this year from Criterion 2021 is a set that is itself designated spine number 10H2, and it's a set that um, it an incredibly emotionally powerful work or series of works, and the set overall does so much to celebrate the life and legacy of the artist Marlon Riggs. And so I'm speaking, of course, of this set, which is the signifying works of Marlon Riggs. This set, which has a number of his works, which each in and of themselves is so fascinating and has a slightly different trajectory or style or set of styles. I mean, the inclusion of each of these works is phenomenal. What makes this set my favorite set of the year for me is the fact that it takes these works and it really calibrates them or recalibrates them in a way that makes me, as a viewer and a consumer of this particular product from Criterion, it makes me realize the reach and scope and the incredible multi-talented facets of the life and times of Marlon Riggs. Much like another set, which is called Streetwise or Tiny the Life of Aaron Blackwell, and much like the set Once Upon a Time in China, the complete films, this set, the signifying works of Marlon Riggs, or I should say, what Criterion has done here is that it has taken the set and has really shown me the true nature and scope of the entirety of his body of work, Marlon Riggs's body of work, from the earliest notions or ethic notions, and also an earlier work as well. But in terms of the feature, the feature points of the set, ethic notions, and then leading up to Black is Black Ain't, and all the way throughout that trajectory, we see many different aspects of Marlon Riggs's vision, how he looks at the world, how he views himself, how others view the world and view themselves. And that prism, or those sets of prisms, are through, say, interviews, they're through song and dance, they're through poetry, they're through editing, they're through maybe documentary style footage, they're through other moments of frank honesty. And there are some moments where we see Marlon Riggs as an example. Marlon Riggs put himself in front of the camera and just show us some incredibly sensitive, intensely sensitive moments and personal moments. So therefore, we get this sense, an all-encompassing sense of what we are seeing when we experience this set, or when I experience this set. I feel like I am getting a glimpse into the life of this particular artist, this particular man, this particular human being, who spoke about many things about his life and about how the world affected him, about how he viewed the world and how he viewed himself in terms of his sexuality, in terms of his race, in terms of his identity as a human being and as an artist. And it's all here. And when I finished the set, I felt like I felt a sense of loss, and I felt a sense of sadness, because I understood, or the set taught me, or it let me into a number of aspects of this particular artist and his life and career. And as we know, he unfortunately passed away very early on in his life, prior to the actual final completion of the last work here. But it was on the road to completion, let me put it that way. But so therefore, this set therefore becomes this celebration of the filmography legacy. It also, in a way, it's a celebration of the life of Marlon Riggs himself. And so in that way, it holds so much power. And I am, every time, I am overwhelmed by emotion when I engage with this particular set or the works in this set. So And as well as being taught, I feel like I'm learning something new every single time, every single time, in terms of people and how they view themselves in the world, and thus perhaps, not perhaps, most definitely, thinking about how I too view the world, or how I too view myself. And so it becomes this wonderful opportunity of introspection, as well as learning about life and the world through the mind and through the perspective and through the eyes of this particular brilliant artist, Marlon Riggs. My number one favorite collector set from Criterion from 2021 is this set, The Signifying Works of Marlon Riggs. Okay, my friends, so that's it for now as far as the collector set discussion. Do you have any favorite collector sets of yourself from this year, 2021? Please let me know in the comment section below. As always, I'd love to hear what it is you have to say. So I will continue on with these categories of favorites from Criterion from this year. So I look forward to seeing you at the next video, my friends. But until then, please be happy and healthy and well, and please keep on watching a lot of great movies. I'll see you at the next video, I hope, my friends. But until then, thank you so much, and cheers.